with your host, Andrew Romanella.
When you play Battle in Mario Kart and you don't turn off any of the items, there are bananas everywhere. I mean, it's like you're losing your balloons because you're slipping on bananas left and right. Bananas everywhere. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of The Rome Show here on 12ozsports.com. Broadcasting live on YouTube, X, and Roku TV. I am Andrew Romanella. I am back and better than ever in the home studios in Succossona, New Jersey, and we hope you are fired up for this Martin Luther King January 20th presidential inauguration Monday morning, whatever you label today's show as. We hope you're ready for it and you enjoy it. We got to talk divisional football rounds, what football we saw over the weekend on Saturday and Sunday. In some cases, what refereeing we saw. In some cases, what bad decisions we saw. In some cases, what terrible turnovers we saw. Nonetheless, though, the conference championship games in the National Football League have been decided, so we have to break all of that down. Plus, we got the national championship game today. Ohio State versus Notre Dame. We got to give you all of our feels on that. And our top three plays of the weekend. We went with all plays from the NFL divisional round. That's why we only went with three. We went with the three best we felt from over the weekend, the number one spot being a twofer from one player. Then, of course, we take our banana picks at the end of the day. I hope anyone listening to this show can tune in on social media and is staying warm. If you're in our region of the country, you got a lot of snow yesterday. I think when I got up this morning, we were probably looking at least 4, maybe 5 inches of snow throughout the entirety of the day yesterday. But a great day for the American people. TikTok was unbanned. Yes. Congratulations to social media all over the country. I know people were freaking out about TikTok being banned. And I got to tell you, there is no bigger indictment on our society now than the reactions from people finding out that TikTok was going to be banned. And you're sitting here, you're saying to yourself, this is a social media app. But the way our world has trended the last 10 years, social media is at the forefront of the everyday life for almost every single American, especially every American that has it. Okay. In the pecking order of essentially TikTok, then Instagram, then X, then Facebook, then insert any other social media handle that you might think of. I'm out on that. But what a Sunday. The Northeast got hammered with snow. We had 2 great divisional playoff football games. And the day before Donald Trump gets put back in office, he helps secure the ban of TikTok. And now the American people wake up on this Monday morning and they feel like their lives are normal. That sounds wild, but do yourself a favor. Spend 5 minutes today if you have time and go watch some of the videos that people were making Saturday and Friday saying goodbye to TikTok. You'll find some pure joy and entertainment in that. I find pure joy and entertainment in bringing you all the latest in the sports. If you want to dispute me, tell me I'm stupid, or agree, go to youtube.com/12ozsports and you can comment live on the show, or x.com/12ozsports and you can comment live on the show. If you just want to comment, and it doesn't have to be live, the Rome Show 1, Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, that is the social media handle. 12OZ Sports is the handle for the mothership. Let's get into this football because we got 4 games we got to break down from over the weekend, and all 4 had a lot going on. So first and foremost on Saturday, which featured both number 1 seeds in the NFC and in the AFC, and one side of the fence went exactly how we expected it to go. The Kansas City Chiefs defeated the Houston Texans 23-14. KC's defensive line and defense as a whole, led by Steve Spagnuolo, their defensive coordinator, was elite against this Houston Texans front six. And the Kansas City Chiefs sacked C.J. Stroud 8 times in this football game. And it was just a terrible day for the Houston Texans special teams, starting with this opening kickoff that was returned almost for a touchdown.
Remigio on the return. Nico spins. Still going. Bends it back and down. Ball comes out.
But it doesn't just stop at the return. Watch what happens after this.
Who took his helmet off and threw it. That got the 5th penalty. Then Frank Ross gets shoved by
And he shoves his coach. So this guy, Boyd, makes the play, then throws his helmet in celebration, and then 10 seconds later is shoving his special teams coordinator. Okay? Besides the fact that the special teams coordinator is most likely going to lose his job today because the Houston Texans had that opening kickoff returned almost for a touchdown, so they spotted KC points before they even needed to send their offense onto the field. Not a good idea. They also, on special teams, that is Houston, missed a field goal, had a field goal blocked, and missed an extra point. So when it comes down to it, okay, we could talk about the officials all we want against the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'll show you a play here that a lot of people have been complaining about just to give you some context. We could go all up and down on the Twitter sphere, and we could hear about how the officials are on the side of Patrick Mahomes, and this one official has refed every single 7-0 Patrick Mahomes in the postseason. I can hear all of it. But when you're the Houston Texans and you spot the Kansas City Chiefs 10 points and you lose by 9, there's nothing I can say about the officials, man. You gave up in the first 7 seconds of the game 75 yards of return on the kickoff. That's on you. Then your idiot dude throws his helmet and pushes his coach. That's 15 more yards. That's on you. 3 points right there. Then you missed a field goal, 3 more points right there. Missed a PAT, 7 points right there. And then you get a field goal block. That is a total of a 10-point swing. Now, if you were somebody at home putting the bananas down on, a number around 9, and the punter for KC runs out of the end zone essentially to end the game, that's a bad beat. That's a tough hit. Okay, but it was 24-11. 23-12, excuse me, before Casey's kicker guy runs out of the end zone, which was a smart play on their part. So really, Houston loses that game by 1 point, or it's a different feeling as you're later in that contest. And the fact that you could have kicked the field goal to make it a 1-possession game and you get it blocked, that alone is an indictment on where this team was ready to play. So great on D'Amico Ryans and C.J. Stroud, 2 playoff wins in 2 years in the now their sophomore season together, but in their 2 seasons together. That's good. But you cannot have your team against anybody, let alone the Kansas City Chiefs in KC, on the road divisional round where Patrick Mahomes is undefeated in his career. You cannot have your team come out that unprepared in one of the 3 phases of the game. Okay? And the final part of this game, which I thought was awesome, okay? Houston Texans had more pass yards, rush yards, total yards, and time of possession than the KC Chiefs. Stroud had more throwing yards than Mahomes, had better stat line than Mahomes. The rushing was better than the rushing attack of KC. It was all better. But at the end of the day, KC comes away with the victory. And you might ask yourself why, and it comes down to turnovers and miscues. KC won this game with 227 total yards of offense, and 117 of those total yards went to Travis Kelce. Okay? The guy that you knew they were going to utilize. So I hear the referee thing. Here's a personal foul on Patty Mahomes, protective of the QB in the offense. Sometimes you make atrocious calls like this, and if you see right towards the end of this play, you're right here. I pause it. Mahomes is actually in the clear in this picture, but they call it a 15-yard flag, and it ends up being important. But the bottom line is you can't be giving up field goals, missing field goals, getting extra points blocked, giving up 80 yards on kickoff return touchdowns if you think that you're going to be able to beat the Chiefs. And if you think you have to play against the Chiefs and the officials, which I don't fully agree with, kind of agree with, not fully agree with, well, then you got to be right in all three phases of the game. So the Houston Texans have been eliminated for the second straight year in the divisional round, and the Kansas City Chiefs now get a chance at an AFC championship game for a three-peat, which is a very, very, very difficult thing to do in the National Football League. The second game on Saturday featured another number one seeded team, this time in the Detroit Lions, who essentially had the Commanders say, hey, thanks for showing up and winning 15 games this year, but that number one seed that you got, all of those good things going on in Detroit this year, yeah, they're gone. The Commanders, they defeated the Detroit Lions on the road, 45-31. Jaden Daniels becomes one win away from being the only rookie quarterback in National Football League history to start a Super Bowl. He's the third rookie quarterback in National Football League history to lead his team to a conference championship game, joining Mark Sanchez of the New York Jetropolitans and Joe Flacco of the Baltimore Ravens. What is so impressive about Jaden Daniels is the way he holds the football, the decisions that he makes when he decides to use his legs and when he decides not to use his legs, and the fact that he merely just makes everybody around him better. There's no talent on this team where you go, whoa, that could be the best player in the league. There's Scary Terry. There's Zach Ertz, who's on the back nine of his Hall of Fame career. There's Brian Robinson Jr. There's players there. But never once have we ever looked at this Washington Commanders roster and been like, yo, this is a team that can go to the Super Bowl. Well, Jaden Daniels is making that possible. His decision-making, the way he lifts up his teammates, if he does make a mistake, how he bounces back, his poise under pressure situations, right after getting scored on, needing to score, all of those scenarios. Jaden Daniels' veins are ice, and it is working out for the Washington Commanders. Here are the numbers on the day yesterday for this game. Jaden Daniels accounted for 351 total yards of offense, 299 through the air, 52 on the ground. Jared Goff, on the other hand, was atrocious. I believe the difference maker in this game was QB versus QB. Jared Goff threw two interceptions that were just terrible. One returned for a pick six where he got annihilated on the field, and then another right at the end of the first half, which could have really changed the outcome of this game. And why that one was so sad is because you're looking at it and you're going, he bounced back. Like, he bounced back. That's huge. We're down 31-21. We're driving. We just gave up a pick six. This whole outlook could look differently. But if we get in the end zone right now and make this 31-28 at halftime, or at worst, make it 31-24, we're locked, and Jared Goff throws another pick. And one time this year, Jared Goff threw like 5 picks in the game and the Lions won. And we talked about this on this show. We said, we don't know what Jared Goff is going to show up. And if turn the football over, bugaboo Jared Goff shows up, it's not good for the Lions. And in the worst possible game, the Lions had Jared Goff's turnover bugaboo show up. Aaron Glenn and the defense had literally no answer for Jaden Daniels, the Commanders' offense, and what Cliff Kingsbury was cooking up. And then for the icing on the cake, with a fourth down, with 11 minutes left in the game or so, and the Commanders in the red zone of Detroit, the Lions just needed to get a stop, hold to a field goal, and we have a chance here. And the Lions commit a 12-man on the field penalty. Yes, 12 men on the field. and then Commanders go in and they score. They go up by 2 scores and presumably ending the game. So really disappointing end to the year for the Detroit Lions. As we talk all the time on this show, we have time to break down what went on. Today's Monday morning quarterback, we just want to get you the details. But over the next few weeks, I would like to break down this quarterback position and this situation in Detroit because it feels like they are there. It feels like they should be 15-2. They should be good enough to go to the Super Bowl. They have all of the pieces, but then you watch a game like that and you say, hold on a second here. No way a team that's the number 1 seed in 15-2 should play ever this poor, right? From the quarterback position to making adjustments on defense at home. Wild. So disappointing, really, really disappointing. And you're not going to get a Buffalo Bills Detroit Lions Super Bowl for the first one in the history of a franchise, which is definitely a little sad in my book. The Washington Commanders in 2 games of the postseason have scored 68 points. Yeah, you heard that right. 8 quarters of football, 68 points in the postseason, including a second quarter on Saturday that saw them score 28 points. Who are they going to face off against? They're going to face off against the Philadelphia Eagles, who defeated the Rams last night 28-22. And the Chiefs will get a rematch of Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes because the Bills defeated the Ravens last night with some mistakes in that game, leading to a Buffalo Bills victory. So we'll break those 2 contests down. We will talk CFP National Championship and give you our top 3 plays of the weekend after this commercial break. You're listening to The Rome Show on 12ozsports.com. We broadcast live on YouTube, on X, and on Roku. Back after this.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
Yeah, it's the Rome Show. 12ozsports.com, YouTube X, Roku TV, so many places to take in the show. Wherever you take in the show, just share it with a friend so we can grow the audience and keep doing this fun stuff every day at 7 a.m. Hope you're staying warm out there. It's cold in the state of New Jersey. We're below freezing, and we got a lot of snow on the ground. Wild to think that my baseball season starts in 4 days. Yeah, 4 days. Now, we're not going to be outside playing games, but we will start to practice in 4 days. Wild times at Ridgemont High. Follow us. Social media, The Rome Show 1. That's Instagram, that's X, that's Facebook, that's TikTok, or 12ozsports. the mothership follow them as well. We were talking football prior to the break, and we mentioned that there's one number one seed remaining. That would be the Kansas City Chiefs, and they will host the Buffalo Bills next weekend. And then the number one seed in the NFC has been eliminated by the 6 seed Commanders. So now the Philadelphia Eagles, who defeated the Rams yesterday 28-22, will play host to the NFC Championship game. Here's what it looked like in Philly yesterday. What's wild is the game started, and I'm going to make sure I turned this off. The game started, and it looked like this on the field, okay? Green, cold, normal winter day, and then we get to the second half, and this is what the contest looked like. I tweeted out yesterday on the Rome Show account. I can hear all of the football people in the world going, "This is football weather. This is the way the game was supposed to be played." Well, I'm not going to lie. I really enjoyed it. Do I believe this was the way the game was supposed to be played? No. But snow football was a lot of fun yesterday, and the Philadelphia Eagles found a way to come out on top. Really, what it came down to is a big turnover by Kevon Williams and a big turnover by Matthew Stafford. Both those happened in the second half when this game was close. Plus, the Rams had a chance late. They put together a drive after Saquon Barkley scored his second touchdown. They put together a drive. I gave them a chance, but unfortunately, on fourth down, they could not convert, and that resulted in a victory for the Eagles. So now Philadelphia, the number 2 seed, gets to play host to the NFC Championship game next weekend. Saquon Barkley is the difference maker. In 4 games against the Los Angeles Rams this season, he has over 530, in 2 games against the Rams. Saquon Barkley has over 530 plus rushing yards and 4 TDs. All 4 touchdowns from Saquon Barkley against the Rams this year have been scored at 60 plus yards, including 2 60 plus yarders yesterday, which we'll show you in a little bit when we get to top 3 plays. And honestly, the Rams offense was really not existent in this game, minus 1 or 2 drives. And I think that becomes the difference maker. Matthew Stafford looked pretty good. It's not that Matthew Stafford was the problem. It's just that the Eagles defense did a really good job of maybe in some areas bending and not breaking. And being really sound. The bottom line is if you can stop the rushing game of the Eagles, which is very difficult because their offensive line is so good, and you have 2 legitimate dudes that can run the rock in Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, it's going to be very difficult to beat this Eagles team. Their offensive line is essentially like 6 Mack trucks lined up that you cannot get past. So that is going to be the key if you are the Washington Commanders in this NFC East showdown for the NFC Championship game. Great year for the Rams, just fell a little short in Philly, which is a very difficult place to play and a very good team. Then finally, we had the Bills versus the Ravens, and this was a back and forth affair all game. Again, it came down to turnovers, too many turnovers for the Baltimore Ravens and 0 turnovers for the Buffalo Bills. It started with this. This turnover by Mark Andrews was a key 4-19. He had 8:41 remaining in the fourth quarter. So even though Lamar Jackson threw a pick in the first half, even anything that had gone on to this point, you have the football at the 50-yard line, driving down by 5 in Buffalo with Lamar giving the ball to Mark Andrews, arguably one of the best tight ends in the league. You're happy with that decision, but unfortunately, Mark Andrews couldn't hold on to it. Okay, so now, as we mentioned, the Ravens got to work really hard to get this football back and to make this a game. So they hold the Bills to a field goal there, make it 27-19. Lamar Jackson leads a scoring drive. Then Mark Andrews has the ultimate chance for redemption, and he does this. Just like that, Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills win 27-25, and they move on for a 4th in 5 years playoff matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. On the flip side, Lamar Jackson's unfortunately going to get some slander on his name, and it is not right. Did he turn the ball over? Yes. Could he play a little bit better? Sometimes, sure, but I thought Lamar Jackson did enough yesterday to win this football game, put his team in a position. If you told me, and I was a Ravens fan, hey, man, listen, here's the deal. You're going to be down 27-19 in Buffalo. It's going to be below 10 degrees out, a little bit of snow in the forecast, okay? You're going to have the ball in Lamar's hand, all right, with a chance to tie with a touchdown and 2-point conversion. You would take that 100 out of 100 times. If I took that a step further and said Lamar scores the touchdown, you have a 2-point conversion between him and Mark Andrews to get to overtime, you would take that 100 out of 100 times. You had what you needed. It was there. You just didn't execute. And that has been this Ravens team for the last 6 years. There's no way you can define it any other way. They play solid in the regular season. They're one of the top 6 teams in the NFL. They obviously clearly have enough to do it, and they find a way. Last year, I think it was Zay Flowers that fumbled the football. This year, it's essentially Mark Andrews. At the end of the day, you just can't turn the football over. And so now this legacy of Lamar Jackson, which deserves to be praised and talked about and is awesome, is not going to be until he can get this monkey off his shoulders and forget a Super Bowl. Just get there. You almost don't even have to win one at this point if you're Lamar Jackson. Just prove that you can get there, right? And it's not his fault, but that's the problem with team sports. That's the problem, more specifically, with playing the quarterback position in the National Football League. At the end of the day, it's always going to fall on you, even if you did everything in your power to win that game. And people are going to make mistakes. Quarterbacks are going to make bad decisions. I mean, I watched Jalen Hurts take a safety yesterday while a dude was wide open in the flat. It happens, okay? But when you do what you need to do, you get yourself down there and you put the ball in the player that is outside of your quarterback and your running back, probably the next best player on the team, at least top 5. You feel really good about your chances, and they just didn't execute. And so now you get a rematch of that 2020 playoff that changed the way we do overtime in the postseason because Josh Allen never got the football, okay? And they get a rematch of that. So very exciting stuff, I think, in the National Football League. We got about 5 days or so to start breaking these games down, but we got the Commanders headed to Philly, okay? And we got the Buffalo Bills headed to KC for your 2 conference championship games in the National Football League. And we are beyond excited. Let's go to top 3 plays because your banana picks are also your preview for the college football playoffs. So we will start, as we always do, with the number 3 play of the weekend. It comes from Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. 3.
Dwayne Wade.
That is what makes Patrick Mahomes. He can make that play right there. And he's got a tight end that's smart enough to find the space so that a sack, potential field goal goes touchdown, and you don't even look back from there. That's your number 3 play of the weekend. Number 2 comes from Sam Laporta. Sadly, the Lions didn't win this game, but Sam Laporta, the number 2
Ryan Leach.
play of the weekend.
See if someone can uncover right in his face under duress.
Oh my gosh.
Left-handed.
What's this catch to Sam Laporta? Oh!
Stretched arms. What a catch.
Pure definition of one-handed. Sam Laporta, your number 2 play of the weekend. But your number 1 play comes from one person 2 times. Number 1.
Uno.
His name is Saquon Barkley. Here's his Saquon Barkley. Best decision you ever made, bro, was leaving the New York Giants. And before we get into our bananas real quick to end this show, one thing I learned over the weekend, the Giants don't have the general manager that they need. I was a Joe Shane guy. I watched Hard Knocks. I liked all that stuff. But I got to tell you, I'm not saying Saquon would have this year, obviously, with the Giants, because the offensive line matters too. But just how do you let it happen? How do you let it happen? It's just like looking at the teams that passed on Jaden Daniels. It's like, man, if you're that poor at talent evaluation, you shouldn't have a job. This is the bottom line. You shouldn't have a job if you make decisions like that clearly backfire against your organization and clearly are not the right decision. But who am I? I'm just a Rome Show host every day at 7 a.m. This is just Daily Bananas, and you're about to win some. Here we go.
Ba 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 banana. Ba 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 banana.
All right. So we went 2-2 in the NFL games. All right. Now, obviously, we pick these games a few days before the game. Sometimes the lines shift or whatever. But in this contest, we had Houston +8. KC won by 9. We had Buffalo +1, nailed that. We had Washington +9.5, nailed that. And then we had Philly at -6.5. I saw some lines move to 6, some moved to 7. At the end of the day, we took the 6.5. We called on, so we were 2-2. Record moves to 19-21. Tonight, college football national championship. Ohio State, the number 1 scoring defense in all of the land, giving up 12.2 points per game against Notre Dame, who has 2 running backs with over 900 plus yards on the ground this season. Both teams are sporting transfer quarterbacks, so quarterbacks that do, to a degree, have some experience behind them. I believe, personally, it comes down to 3 things. The first is which QB makes the least amount of mistakes, Howard or Leonard. Again, both are transfers, but both in the last 2 or 3 games have made a mistake or two their team had to overcome. So that's my first key. Second key is the Notre Dame defensive backs against the receiving core of Ohio State. It's not a hyperbole type deal. It's the truth. We call Ohio State wide receiver U. So can Notre Dame slow down the wide receivers of Ohio State? Because that also comes back to our first point of, are you going to make Will Howard turn the football over? Well, if you got really good coverage, good pass rush, really suffocating space on the wide receivers, it could turn into a tough day for the offense. But it's a hard group to handle. And then finally, the OSU run D against the Notre Dame run game. Like I said before, Notre Dame has 2 players that are over 900 yards on the season. So a comboed running attack that can be fierce. So what does that tell you? That tells you that Andrew is going to, well, Ohio State's favored by 9.5, and it's 46.5 for the total. So here are going to be my 3 picks for you today in the national championship. I got Notre Dame at the +9.5. Do I believe Ohio State's that good? Yes. Do I believe they could beat Notre Dame by 10? Yes. But I just don't believe you get to the national championship game and get slaughtered. And it's funny because the history of Notre Dame says they do get slaughtered in the Natty championship game. But I'm going to believe that this team has a different moxie, has a different set of beliefs, has a different heart, different everything. Okay? Led by Marcus Freeman. So I'm going to take Notre Dame at the +9.5. Okay, we talked about the rushing game for the Trojans, for the Irish. I got Jeremiah Love, with a TD for Notre Dame. And then I got on the other side for Ohio State, we talked about the wide receivers. Give me Jeremiah Smith with a receiving touchdown. So Jeremiah Lane, rushing TD for Love, rushing TD for Notre Dame. Jeremiah Smith, receiving TD for Ohio State. Then give me ND at the +9.5. I do think Ohio State wins this game on the money line, but I'm going to take it at the +9.5. Those are my daily bananas. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Rome Show. 12ozsports.com. We broadcast live on YouTube and X and Roku TV. We're back in the home studio. Rome Show on the road gets put in the closet for a little bit, so we will stay right here where we belong every day, 7 a.m., 12OZ Sports. Follow us, be electric, and enjoy the rest of your Monday. Andrew Romanella saying peace.
Thank you for listening.